You've been taking your baking soda every morning for months, maybe years. You do it because you know it's good for you, because you've read something, heard something, or someone you trust recommended it. And what no one told you is that baking soda alone, without what we're going to see today, is working at a fraction of its true capacity for your circulation and your energy. It's not that you've been doing anything wrong. It's just that you've been given half the information because there's an ingredient, one that you probably already have at home, that completely changes what that baking soda can do inside your body after 50. And the difference between taking it alone and taking it with that ingredient is not small. That ingredient is what no one says on the label. Before I explain what's happening, I want you to understand the full context, because without the context, the information doesn't change anything. You know what it's like to wake up and notice that your legs aren't responding at all, that something where it shouldn't. You know what it's like to spend the first 20 minutes of your day with your head in a state that's neither sleep nor wakefulness, an in-between zone that takes longer and longer to clear. Do you know what it's like to get to mid-morning and notice your engine is already losing revs? When before that wouldn't happen until much later. And do you know what it's like to do everything right and still feel that way? This didn't start yesterday. For most men who experience it, it's been ingrained in them for months, sometimes years, with no clear moment when it started. A large proportion of men in this age group who are actively taking care of their health report the same pattern, doing the right things, sticking to their habits, and still something doesn't quite work as it should in the morning. And there's a specific reason for that. One that has to do with what happens in the body during sleep hours that a morning routine alone can compensate for. What's behind this pattern has hardly been clearly explained until now. It's not that your body has stopped working. It's just that no one explained to you how it works differently after 50. That difference changes everything de estado. What happens in your arteries and peripheral circulation doesn't end when you put your glass down on the counter. Research on vascular recovery shows that this process continues to be active during sleep with the hours of red in which the body works to reestablish vascular flow and response. This process is supported by the right conditions and is compromised when it is not. What you drink in the morning, how you drink it, and what you combine it with mainly asparagus morning sets the stage for what your circulation can do while you sleep that night. And its effects last into the next morning before you even open your eyes. That's precisely why I prepared something specifically for this group of men. The digital book, 7 Habits That Make You Wake Up Tired After 40 Inside. Inside, you'll identify which of your morning habits are incomplete, what's missing from what you already do, and why that missing piece is precisely the one that has the most impact on how you wake up each day. You'll come to understand why a man's body, after the age of it, responds differently to the same habits that previously appeared sufficient that did. And what does it need now that it didn't need before? And you will find the first concrete adjustment you can make to your routine this week without changing it, completely just supplementing it. Designed for the man who wants to understand the root cause, not just manage the symptoms. And there is something inside that surprises most. Among the 7 habits, there is one directly related to nocturnal vascular recovery, which most treat in their usual morning routine without knowing what they are leaving undone each morning. If any of what you just heard sounded familiar, the link is in the pinned comment. Vascular recovery that occurs during sleep does not wait. The first step is to know which of these habits is yours. You need not accept these feelings, nor must you. Understand it alone. That is why we are here. I am Carmen Navarro. For more than 20 years, I have been researching and sharing scientific studies on men health to help men make informed decisions. What I've found time and time again is that when it comes to food, the right question to ask is almost never what to eat, but how and when. And today I want to show you something that most men who take baking soda every morning never quite connect the dots. Baking soda is one of the simplest compounds in existence and one of the most misunderstood in the context of men's health after 50. Think of it as an internal environmental regulator dalla l'aneggiamento. It influences the body's acid-base balance, which researchers refer to as systemic pH. Research on this balance suggests that a slightly alkaline environment supports enzyme function and nutrient availability at the cellular level. For men who already take it on an empty stomach, the most common perceived benefit is digestive benefits. Less heartburn, less heaviness after eating, and that's okay. That effect is real. Many men over 55 report that since they've incorporated it into their routine, mornings after a big meal are easier because their bodies can start up faster. But there's something important that most people don't know. Bicarbonate acts on the environment, not on the compounds that need to reach the blood. It is a working platform, a base, and like any base, its real value depends on what it is combined with. Therein lies the limitation, and therein lies also the opportunity, because its potential on circulation and vascular response is real, but to activate it, it needs a specific companion, and that is precisely where the limitation of taking it alone comes in, because bicarbonate by itself works on the internal environment. It does not have a direct mechanism on vasodilation or circulatory fluidity. For that, it needs a catalyst out of waste. Without the catalyst, whoever takes it will spend months activating only half of the process. And what that catalyst does in combination with bicarbonate is exactly what most men who take care of their health never come to connect with. Now we come to the ingredient that the title promised to reveal: lemon. The fresh lemon juice that you already have at home, that you probably already use in the kitchen, and that in combination with bicarbonate does something that neither of them can do separately. Lemon is a source of vitamin C and flavonoids, compounds that research on endothelial function has shown to be important for the health of the inner lining of blood vessels. The endothelium, the inner layer of the arteries, is where vasodilation begins, where blood flow is regulated, and where after age 50 function tends to silently decline without immediately noticing. Taken alone, lemon juice before these compounds, but their absorption is significantly limited in an acidic environment, which is the natural environment of a fasting stomach. Think of it this way. Lemon flavonoids are molecules that travel. They need to reach the intestine in conditions that allow them to cross into the bloodstream. When the environment is too acidic, that transit is compromised, like trying to send a message across a blocked road. The message exists, but it doesn't get through. Taken alone, it doesn't optimize its arrival into the bloodstream, but combined with a carbonate at the right time, in the right proportion, something happens that no pharmacy supplement replicates in this way. And here's the gist of what we're going to look at today. The mixture of lemon juice and baking soda results in an acid-base neutralization reaction. Did you see the fizz? That's the reaction happening. The result is a pH-altered environment, And in that environment, the flavonoids and vitamin C in lemon have significantly different availability than they would in a purely acidic environment. Think of it like a key and a lock. The lemon has the compounds, the keys. The baking soda provides the environment, the lock. Neither one opens the door alone. Yes, research on the bioavailability of flavonoids indicates that the alkaline environment promotes the absorption in the gut, and it's at that absorption stage where the difference becomes visible in the circulation. What many men report when they consistently incorporate this combination is not an immediate dramatic change. It's gradual, it's functional. It's the kind of difference that you notice in how they start their day, not in a lab setting. And there's an aspect of this synergy that directly affects what happens during sleep, which is why many men report that they feel the most noticeable change in the morning, not during the day. Antonio was 61 years old and lived in Valencia. He had been taking bicarbonate every morning for over a year. He had read about it in an article. A colleague had recommended it to him, and he had incorporated it into his routine without much conviction, but with no reason to abandon it either. What bothered him wasn't the bicarbonate, it was what kept him, despite its odors, excited. He would wake up with his calves tense, not painful, but tight, as if he had run the night before, even though he hadn't done anything. It took him a while to get going. His head felt heavy for the first 20 minutes, and by mid-morning, when his younger colleagues seemed to be in full swing, he felt like he had already used up a part of his tank without having started. He had been like this for months. He thought it was his circulation. He also thought it was his age. When he added lemon juice to his morning baking soda, half a squeezed lemon mixed right in, he wasn't expecting anything special. He did it out of curiosity, not conviction. She noticed nothing special for the first few weeks. He stuck to his routine. His wife was the one who said it first. "You wake up faster these days." Antonio hadn't said anything to her, but she was right. He had started to notice that the morning fog was shorter, that the moment when he felt truly awake came earlier, that his legs didn't start the day with that dull heaviness that he had grown accustomed to ignoring. It wasn't a dramatic change. It didn't happen overnight, but it was consistent, and it was moving in the right direction. There's a whole chapter on this topic that can fit into a single video. What you've just learned about this energy has implications beyond what we've covered today. The vascular bioavailability that this combination can activate, or that you're losing if something else in your routine is holding it back, is only part of the whole picture. What happens in your circulation when you take this combination doesn't end after 10 minutes. Research on endothelial response indicates that the effect of flavonoids on vascular function extends including the oscilla of sleep, which is the period in which the body optimizes circulatory recovery. What you feel when you wake up, that heaviness, that slow startup, is a reflection of what happened or didn't happen during that night or kohait. And this process that works while you sleep and manifests when you wake up has more variables than a single video can cover. That's why I prepared the digital book 7 Habits That Make You Wake Up Tired After 40 NST. Inside, you'll identify which habit in your routine is slowing down the absorption that this combination is trying to boost. A habit that you've probably never related to your circulation. You'll understand why after 50, the vascular endothelium needs more specific contingents to respond, metronode. And why what was sufficient before is no longer sufficient now. And you'll find the first concrete adjustment you can make this week so that what you take each morning really works at night. Designed for the man who wants to act on the root cause, not just relieve what he feels. And there's a detail I don't cover in this video. Among the 7 habits, there's one directly related to nocturnal vascular recovery, which most people repeat in the routine in the last hours of the day without knowing what they're neutralizing each night. If any of this sounds familiar, I've left the link in the pinned comment by comment. Check it out. I have a suggestion for you. Try this combination exactly as we just saw for the next 7 days every morning on an empty stomach before coffee. And tell me in the comments what the first thing you noticed was, not what you expected to notice, what you actually felt. That tells me more than any study. Let's get practical, because theory without implementation doesn't change anything. The order matters. First, the juice. Half a fresh lemon squeezed into a glass of room temperature water. Not cold, not hot. Then the baking soda. Half a teaspoon of coffee. Wait until the effervescence is complete before drinking. Do not add sugar or sweetener on an empty stomach before breakfast. An empty stomach favors the absorption of the active compounds. When food is already present, the gastric environment changes and the reaction loses part of its effect. The frequency is daily, consistently consistent. It is not a one-off remedy. It is a habit that accumulates its effect over time. Men who report the most noticeable improvements are generally those who maintain it without interruption for the following weeks. There are 3 things that should not be combined with it at the same time. Coffee alters gastric pH and can interfere with absorption. Medication taken in the morning should be allowed to stand before any medication. And orange juice, the combination of acids, can be counterproductive in some digestive profiles. An important note about bicarbonate and blood pressure. Sodium bicarbonate contains sodium. For men with hypertension or with sodium restriction prescribed by their doctor, this combination always requires prior consultation. Implementation is only half the story. What happens in the following weeks and in what order the needs are felt is what most men don't expect. The change doesn't happen overnight, and it's important to know this because men who quit early do so precisely because they expected something immediate ovulation. The first thing many men report in the first few weeks is a change in how their day starts. The transition from sleep to wakefulness becomes a bit smoother, not dramatic, but different. The moment when the body feels like it's really started comes sooner. In the weeks that follow, what they report is more function, less feeling of heaviness in the legs and feet first thing in the morning, more consistent energy in the morning without the early morning slump that many had come to expect. Many men report that the most noticeable change is not what they expected. It's not an energy boost, it's an absence. There was no morning inertia, something they assumed. The information you are receiving is educational and is not a substitute for medical advice. If your symptoms persist, talk to a healthcare professional. If you know a man, a brother, someone in your circle who already takes bicarbonate in the morning, share this video with him because he's probably been taking it alone for months and doesn't know that he's missing half of it. That gesture can change how he starts his mornings. What we've seen today is not a trick. It's not a cure. It's an understanding. The bicarbonate you've been taking wasn't doing anything bad. It was only doing half of what it could do because it was missing its complement. Starting today, that changes. In the first few weeks, many men report that their morning wake-up time becomes faster, that the interval between the alarm and feeling truly awake is shorter. In the following weeks, what they notice is more stable, less weight in their legs first thing in the morning, more consistent energy in the morning without the slump that many had accepted as part of the day. And over time, when the habit is established, when the body has had the weeks it needs to respond, many men describe something they didn't expect waking up before the alarm goes off. Not every day, but some days, yes. Not because lemon is magic, but because the body, when it has what it needs, tends to find its rhythm. Every morning is an opportunity to wake up differently. Today, you know how. And waking up differently is not a wish. It is the result of changing something specific. Today, you know what? What is missing is to know which of the 7 is yours. Every morning that goes by with the incomplete habit is one more morning in which nocturnal vascular recovery does not have the conditions it needs to do its job. That cannot be recovered by taking more bicarbonate. It is recovered by understanding what else is happening in your routine and what is slowing down the process before it gets to where it needs to be. Get the digital book 7 Habits that make you wake up tired after 40 now and understand which habits are interrupting your vascular recovery each night. Inside, you will find the 7 most common patterns, including yours. You will find out what it is and what to do with that information this week. It is going to happen tonight anyway. The question is whether it happens with the right habit or the wrong one. Vascular stimulation that builds up night after night doesn't wait. The link is in the pinned comment. Check to see if you're repeating the incomplete habit without realizing it. Tonight, I'm Carmen Navarro. See you in the next video. Take care, educate yourself, and remember, what you know today can change how you feel tomorrow. Important note, this video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your doctor before making any changes.